What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out the US military's new smart optic that aims for you, the XM-157 by Garand. You know that I did the video a couple of days ago by Task and Purpose. It's a couple of years old. They were explaining what it is. This time, I wasn't going to watch this video. I've told people in the past that I've watched a lot of Garand and I don't want to be too cheeky and watch too much of it. But I watched that video by Task and Purpose about this scope. And honestly, it's blown me away more than anything else. And so I have to watch this video by Garand with you guys. It's a long video. It's like 30 minutes long. So sit back, get yourself a cup of tea. It's going to be a long video. Anything can happen. My kid could run in at any point and say hi because I'm on dad duty today. So yeah, let's just get excited. Let's watch this. Let's have some fun. And let's see what it's all about. If you want to watch the video without me waffling over top, you always can do that. It's down in the description. First line of the description is always there. Original video. If you're not going over to Grand Thumb's channel and subscribing and liking his video, then you're stupid. There, I said it. I said it. You're stupid. Anyways, I don't think there's anything else I've got to say. Nothing else I've got to announce just yet, I don't think. So, yeah, let's pop this up. Remember, guys, like it and subscribe. And let's watch this. And let's see what his thoughts are. I'm hoping... Let's have a quick... Okay, he's got someone on. This guy might be from Vortex. I'm just kind of looking through the timeline here. And I'm hoping there's a lot of information as well as him shooting it. So let's watch this. It's a big boy. Okay, so the design's changed a little bit since the one in Task and Purpose. It's not got the buttons on the front here. It looks like they're on the side. It looks like they're here now. There was another like thing with buttons here, so maybe it's all been replaced to be right here instead. Very interesting that there's some design changes already. Great bit of montage there. Look at ourselves, Garand Thumb. Here we are, Flannel Daddy. Let me turn it up.
The XM-157, the U.S. Army's brand new optic, not to be confused with Sirius XM radio, although that might be a future at some point, we don't know yet. But today on Garand Thumb, we're going to talk about it. There is obviously a lot going on here.
There is.
Stay tuned. But before we get into that, we of course have to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, which is who, Micah?
The Snoring Desert Institute.
We're going to lose them because of this, but that is the Sonoran Desert Institute. A big thank you to them for sponsoring the channel. If you're looking to get your start in gunsmithing, they are...
I wonder if this part here, which looks like another button on the front, I don't know if you can see my cursor. I wonder if, because that must have been the one that was on the side in the previous video. I'm wondering if that's going to be changed and it'll be integrated on the scope itself, or whether it's going to stay there where it's close to that left hand if you're right-handed, the left hand holding the front of the weapon.
For the people to go to and eat.
By hat.
Okay, I'm going to skip their ads.
Not by me. Hey, Cogs. Welcome to the channel. Today, the XM-157. There's a lot of questions from you guys. There's a lot of concerns.
I wonder if the weight's gone down.
I had all those questions. I had all those concerns. And I think we're going to be able to answer most of them. We have about 800 rounds on this. And to help us answer a lot of these questions, we have the project manager for the XM-157 from Vortex, Paul Allen. Welcome to the channel. Alexander, actually. Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Wow, so they actually got the project manager on. That's absolutely fantastic. So we are going to get some good information here, I'm hoping.
For coming on, man.
Happy to be out here.
So, why is it big? What is this, Explain.
Great question. So this is the next generation squad weapon fire control. So there's a lot of words that we just threw out.
Next generation squad fire control. Is that what he said? That's a long one.
Mike already reviewed the XM5 and the XM-250, so the weapon entrance. This is the sister program to the NGSW weapons, the fire control. So at its core, the optic that we're looking at is a 1:8 optic with a integrated display in the first focal plane and a laser rangefinder incorporated into it. So with the press of a button and in a fraction of a second, the system will range a target, receive the range back, calculate the ballistics based on the range to target and the environmentals, and then it'll display a drop point for the user inside their field of view as they're looking through the scope.
Do you think they could have put that laser anywhere else to make it a little bit less clunky, the weapon? Do you think it could have been integrated somewhere else? It just make that on top. It obviously looks like a red dot, doesn't it? First and foremost, because I feel like a lot of people have mistaken that as a red dot when they first see it. But secondly, it just feels like it adds a lot of like mass, a lot of space to the weapon, doesn't it? It just looks bigger because of that laser finder on top. I wonder if they could have added it somewhere else, but obviously these guys are experts, so they know what they're doing, and everything that they do is for a reason. So there must be a reason why they couldn't have put it somewhere else.
Absolutely psychotic when I've actually been using it. So we started at the range just at about 0 to 50, just kind of getting used to it. And it's much like, you know, any other 1 to 6, 1 to 10 that Vortex has made. But when I started shooting it out here at extended distances, it's just crazy how simple it is to make shots and impacts. It really does blow my mind. Beyond the laser range finding capabilities, this also does have an IR laser as well, correct?
It does.
So that is in some cases able to replace some of the devices that we already put out on our weapons. So like I know the XM-5 is pretty front heavy. This allows us to kind of backload a lot of that weight in some ways.
Correct.
Okay, so when I was saying about putting that laser finder somewhere else, I was thinking of when people put the lasers on the front of the weapon or maybe onto the side or something like that. But if he is saying that the other weapon is front heavy, it is a good incorporation to bring it all back a little bit, which is nice. I don't know, it just, that extra, like, what is it, like nearly 2 inches, I'm guessing, on top is a lot of this. It's big, isn't it? It's big. That's probably the only concern I have about this scope. Everything else about this scope is like the best thing I've ever seen. It's the best thing since sliced bread. My worry is that it just looks big and it's a bit heavy. It's a bit heavy. But I mean, I would, as a former soldier, I would happily take that extra weight and just go to the gym and have something this smart. Just worried about the size of it more than anything.
It also gets the sighting system, those auxiliary sighting systems such as your Viz and IR aiming lasers, off of the rail of a weapon and can be mounted to the receiver. So we don't need to be worrying about rail flex nearly as much
when
we
really
have
cool.
a XM-157 mounted to the weapon.
The future is bendy. Okay, so before we go too far into it, we kind of get lost in the weeds here.
I suppose if you've got a red dot on the top and you're not going to use a red dot, it doesn't really make a difference, and that space is fine anyway. And if you're used to having a red dot on top of your scope, then I guess it doesn't make a difference, does it? So maybe even that one qualm I have with it doesn't even make a difference, really, does it?
Talk about the optic.
Yeah. So again, fire control is designed to range target and display the drops inside the optic itself. Press of a button, we've made this super simple for the user. Now, to clear a couple of things up about what the fire control is. One of the things is that we're dealing with two different definitions of fire control, right? We're dealing with a military definition of fire control, and we're dealing with a commercial definition of fire control. So in military definition, we're talking about something that was traditionally used with tanks to, you know, as a sighting system to make sure that rounds were on target. On the commercial side, we have fire control systems, and when we talk about trigger units, this is not related to a trigger unit, and it does not have a trigger interrupt. So at all times, the operator maintains control of the weapon system. This does not impede the firing of the weapon in any way, shape, or form.
Could you imagine having like a trigger interrupt where you can't fire till you're like on target, you're like trying to suppress somebody? It's a bad day.
Right.
That, even the thought of that is baffling, isn't it? Like if they started integrating stuff like that, because there are techniques that you have in the military that you need to shoot at nothing. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows this. With very standard fighting procedures. With doing flanks, doing suppressive, doing false flanks, all that lot. You need to be able to shoot at nothing. So yeah, That would be really weird if they put that on.
A really bad day.
we feel the same way for most all situations. So this is purely providing the user with an aim point. Again, we are not getting into the actual manipulation of the trigger. That's all done by the operator.
And when
That's
it
good,
comes to this
obviously.
optic as well, this can be removed.
It can. Yep.
So are we talking, when we don't have this on, it functions just as your normal run-of-the-mill low power variable optic?
Exactly.
Oh.
Yep. So even if we flip it around here, so this is not an entirely digital solution. In fact, at its core, the system is a 1:8 first focal plane optic. So all the controls that user who uses an LPVO, they're already going to be familiar with those controls: diopter adjustment, magnification adjustment, and 2 physical turrets for adjusting the etch reticle, your windage and elevation.
Wow. So you can take it off and it'll just be a scope. It'll just be a classic scope with all the variables that you're able to change. If you take that laser off the top. That's amazing. I'll tell you why that's amazing is because one of my biggest worries with new technology in the military is reliability, and especially stuff which includes electricity and batteries. Like if shit hits the fan and if you're out and about, that thing runs out of battery and you've got no batteries with you and you're in a really shit situation, first thing I would do is take that thing off, whack it in my bag, and crack on with just a scope. Or leave it on and just crack on with a scope. Do you know what I mean? And it's so good that you can do that.
Then on top, we have the removable laser rangefinding enabler. That houses the laser rangefinder, and then it also has co-aligned vis and IR aiming lasers. So when one laser is aligned with the weapon system, the other 2 are slaved together. So it makes the alignment and the zeroing of the system incredibly easy. So in a no power state, with the transparent display, the user still has a 1:8 variable power optic available to them.
Amazing.
Now, one of the other things that we're really proud about with this system is the fact that we're using US-made lenses for the glass, which is something that we're not aware of any other companies doing for their optics.
Yeah.
I know some people might say that and be like, why does that matter where it's made? It probably doesn't matter. It does matter a lot if a conflict happens. One of the biggest strategies in conflict is stopping logistics to and from a country, right? So let's say Britain goes to war, right? We are an island where I am right now. And if we were overpowered by someone, they could take charge of the waters around us, stop things from getting in and out of us. There would be shortages. It's basically like a giant version of a castle siege. I don't know if you know about castle sieges, but one of the biggest things they would do was stop anyone. If someone was trying to invade a castle, they would stop anyone from getting in and out of that castle. And that stops food, that stops water, all these other things that eventually makes the people inside surrender no matter what, even if they've got more people. And so knowing that you can create something in your own country means that you're not relying on other countries. You're not relying on logistics. You're not relying on transport, all that stuff from outside to inside of the country. That's massive. That is way bigger than people realize. I know there's some patriotic people that are just, I want everything to be made in America. I understand that patriotic side of it, but logistics, military side of it is completely different, and that's massive.
So
I'm not going to say it. Yeah, no,
it's a point that we're extremely proud about for the system, and it's a capability we wanted to make sure was manufactured in the United States as much as possible for something that was going to our troops.
I am satisfied with my Vortex product. If you're used to the Vortex 1 to 10, or if you've looked through that, it is so similar. Those last kind of 2 magnification levels, it's really hard to tell in my mind, but it feels very much so like that. The reticle, to me, looks very similar to the 1 to 10, and it should be noted that, prior to having laser rangefinders on optics and stuff, most reticles allowed you to range. This goes all the way back to like the old SVD optic. So this reticle also has a ranging post on it based off the height of a man or the width of a man, specifically at the chest. Now, the problem with that, obviously, is...
Just want to interrupt him there real quick, because when he was talking, then it popped into my mind. I wonder what sighting your weapon looks like with this device on it. Obviously, if it was just the scope itself, you would just do the usual standard operating procedures for sighting your weapon. But does the computer so obviously it looks like you've got two things here. You've got the scope and then you've got the laser rangefinder. And it looks like the laser rangefinder manipulates the scope to change the sight inside depending on what's going on and how far away you are. If that's the case, is that rangefinder able to adjust your scope so that you are able to accurately change your sighting on your weapon quickly? Because one of the big things in the military is when you're sighting your ACOG or even your iron sights, oh my god, it's just a pain in the ass sighting it and getting it right. I haven't used a scope like this, the Vortex scope, even without a laser rangefinder. I haven't used anything as fancy as this. The most fancy I got was an ACOG. In fact, I wonder what the scope was on the Marksman rifle. I wonder what brand of scope that was. 1 second. L129A1. Is it just an ACOG? Blah, blah, blah. History. Yeah. So this is like the most elaborate scope that I used in the military, right? And so, yeah, it does make me wonder. It does make me wonder what it is, what it's like to sight yourself in.
If I'm trying to shoot at like Tom Cruise or something, who's like 4'8", it's going to be very difficult for me to get the exact range on him because it's based off of, I believe it's 5'7" for the average male. So that your shots could be off. So having a laser rangefinder is of course way better. So when we talk about that,
yeah, he's right there.
There are of course other laser range-finding units that are widely used, like the Wilcox Raptor.
Yep.
That's used quite a bit. However, you have that on a diving board on top of the Optic. It's a good solution. However, it's not.
Just want to also preface this by saying I've never used the laser rangefinder, or at least I don't think I have. In fact, I did. I used one that was in some binos. I used some that were in a set of binos, but I never had one on my weapon. Like, I never had anything fancy like that on my weapon. Yeah, I used them on my there was some binos that I used that were really cool that had a laser rangefinder in them, but I never had anything like that attached to my weapon, so I don't really know much about that part of weapon equipment.
Integrated into the Optic like what we're seeing here, all in one package.
Exactly. Yep, and the integration into one package is truly what makes the system unique. So again, integrated into the first focal plane, we have a transparent display system which we can provide information to the user inside their field of view. And that can be anything from simple drop points with 10-mile-an-hour wind holds to full-featured menus or augmented reality. So because we use a full display rather than just having separate illuminated points, we can allow for all sorts of custom symbology inside the fire control.
That's really cool. It makes me wonder if they're able to change like the retina on it, right? Change what it looks like depending on the person's preference. Maybe, maybe not. But if you can change different symbology on it, like it's like Call of Duty, all of a sudden when you want to change what your red dot looks like. Do you know what I mean? Like the color of it, all that stuff. I wonder how much of that can be changed.
I like that. Now, what does this measure? Obviously, it's measuring range. Cool, but I can bring up a laser rangefinder, but it's measuring a couple other things as well, correct?
Correct, yep. So we're measuring the range target. We also have an onboard atmospheric sensor and thermometer. So we're reading the pressure and the temperature as we're calculating them for a shot. The Optic does that automatically, and it's all transparent to the user. So that's one of the big things that that's very important to us with the fire control program, is having transparency to the user and ease of use.
I'm sorry, somebody made a comment when I first posted this, and they're like, everybody a gangster until a motherfucker pulls up with the rose gold Optic and measures your temperature at 1,000 yards or something like that. I'm not professional enough for this. I'm sorry, continue to go. That's going to make it in, I'm sure. Outside of my comment about pulling up on people being a gangster, my people are simple. By my people, I mean me. I'm a very simple man. I'm not very intelligent. So if you had to explain this to me, What does it look like when we're actually looking through it? And we'll pop up a picture for you guys as well, so you can kind
Oh,
of see.
yeah, I want to see this.
We're going to have the etched reticle remain where it's at. That's adjusted
So they are staying with the same reticle. Okay.
mechanically and is independent of the operation of the active reticle display. When you range a target, there's an illuminated dot over the center of the reticle. You place the center of the reticle over the target that you would like to range with the press of a button. It then calculates your ballistics based on the range of the target,
Whoa.
and it displays your drop with 10-mile-an-hour wind holds to the right and left. So
Oh my God, that's so cool.
all you need to do is take and put that illuminated dot on your target, focus on the fundamentals of marksmanship, and take a shot.
So you're telling me I should be able to take this right now and take a shot at 700?
You got it.
All right, cool. Let's do it.
That's so cool. God damn, why is it? I bet there's a lot of veterans that watch these videos of me. Why is it all the cool stuff comes out when you leave? Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so I have a target way far out there. Don't know the distance, and guess I'm gonna shoot it and hit it first round impact. So let's give it a shot. Okay, gonna range it. Okay, got it at 699. It's giving me my drop. Well,
Was it too easy? I mean, that was.
I'm
sorry, my head's over it here.
Sell my other optics at this time. How much does this cost?
Let me just rewind. So, because my head was in the way, I just want you to be able to see.
Well,
Was it too easy? I mean, that was.
I would like to sell my other optics at this time. How much does this cost? So I have to explain to you guys how
Amazing.
easy it was to make a shot with this optic. So it's all zeroed, of course, and we've done that before, and it's very simple to do. I ranged it. It was at 700. It lets me know, and also shows me like where my beam is going for the ranging, which is important, so you know what you're actually ranging off of. And then it just on the optic, it just gave me a center dot, which was my drop, and everything kind of calculated in. It's magic, in case you guys don't know. And then it also.
Can you imagine showing this to some old friggin' Civil War with a musket soldier being like, hey, you think your little friggin' musket's good? Check this out. Shoot this at 700-800 meters. Oh, by the way, it'll just do it all for you.
The wind holds, which are 10, correct?
Yep, 10 mile an hour.
We didn't have any wind, so I held just on the dot and fired in first round impact. So that was no other calculations, no other apps. It just did it all within the optic, and I'm very disappointed in almost every other optic that I currently own as of right now.
It's incredible.
I really want this optic system. I'm not. Okay, get out. I'm not paid off by Vortex. It's just actually really freaking cool. Like, this is a really cool optic, and I can't stress how simple this has made long-range shots. Like, this is really freaking cool. Okay, you can come back. Are we able to talk about...
You can tell by his enthusiasm that this is a good bit of kit, you know, without any bias there, can't you?
About the capabilities, like how far this thing can do everything?
Great question, Mike. Unfortunately, information is restricted. However, we can say that the optic is capable of ranging and engaging point and area targets of the XM-5 and the XM-250 weapon systems and beyond.
It's like the Godzilla. It's like this information is restricted. It's like, oh.
Yeah, so it's restricted. You're not even going to be able to put a presumption in it on it, are you? 900 meters, maybe 1K, maybe, but it's restricted, so it could, you know what I mean? Like, it could even be further than that. It will, they say it's restricted. It'll come out eventually. People will be testing this, especially if this goes on civvy markets. People will be testing this at 2 kilometers. I'm telling you right now, they'll be testing it at like as far as they possibly can. And they'll find out what the range is, what the laser is capable of. And as soon as they find out what range that laser is capable of, they'll be shooting at the max range. I'm telling you right now, that's what will be happening.
I wish we could show it, but yeah, once you get your hands on this and start shooting it, it's just, it really does make everything feel kind of a little bit more obsolete. Now, I will give you a couple criticisms of this optic. So the biggest thing is when we're talking about a low power variable optic, if we're moving through, if we're in a high threat environment and we're have this thing at low ready where we're looking over the top of the optic, we obviously have to have the weapon depressed more down. That's due to the laser range finding unit that we have on top.
Yeah.
So there's always a use case for everything, right? So in a close quarter situation, this obviously is not the optic that you want, but we're talking from, you know, variable unknown distance like you'd see in multiple combat environments. This is a wonderful optic. It's just you have to understand there are, of course, going to be limitations. There's not...
Yeah, you're going to really be struggling with this thing if you're going through buildings. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're storming into rooms and stuff like that, I don't know.
You're not going to have an optic that can, as of this video, that can shoot and range this far and then is also as quick as like an EOTech or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, heads-up display like a holographic or a red dot still have their place on entry guns, and that's a great thing about LPVOs, right? I mean, they can do it, but you know they really shine at distance targets.
Now, what is really interesting about it is the reticle does actually change based on your magnification level. So when you're at a 1 power, you simply have a nice bright dot, and you can actually change the color on that dot. So right now I kind of have it like
so you can change the color. Jesus, full customization, guys.
an amber color, which is very attractive. I like it quite a bit. But when you start to pull the magnification up is when we get into the laser range finding and the bullet compensating kind of reticle itself. And can you kind of tell me a little bit behind that, like why you guys did that?
Yeah, so we wanted the operator to be focused on those close threats and not be unnecessarily distracted by anything in the optic.
Yeah.
It's really easy with technology like this to make it too complicated and have too much going on. So we know that at 1x, right, guys are likely going to be engaging close threats, and it's a range that you're not going to need drop.
I like that they've done that. You've got it at 1x, it's just a dot. It's not obviously it's not as effective as like a red dotted sight, like a classic red dot sight, but it's 1x and it's literally just got a dot in there. I cannot explain how impressive that is, so that you can turn that up 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, all the way up to what he said, 8x. And it changes and it has all the information you would need appropriately to shoot at that distance, and then takes it away when you go down to 1x. So there's no fluff, there's no crap you don't need on there when you're shooting at close distances. That's absolutely brilliant.
Drops for, right? Like you're not going to be trying to get a drop on somebody at 25 meters, for likelihood, right? And then as we come off 1x, we have what we call our precision engagement setting, which allows the optic to range target and display the corrected aim point off of that range to the target.
Amazing.
Very neat.
Yeah.
It's honestly from 0 to 200, you really don't need the reticle, but once you're pushing past those distances, this is where it's really cool, and we will show you that in just a little bit here. I do want to talk a little bit about this box up here.
Yeah.
So we do have the IR laser and visible laser on that, and we've used both of them. They're quite bright. As far as an illuminator capability, that's kind of the only thing in my mind that's currently missing from the unit.
Yep.
So it doesn't fully kind of replace a NGOL or a MAL for me at this moment. It's getting closer. Are you able to talk about any kind of future improvements that are planning to be made?
Yeah, great question. So one of the things that we made sure to emphasize with this program was the upgradability of the fire control. We want this program to be able to grow with the technology increases and with the needs of the warfighter. So as such...
Can we just quote that one thing? Can we just quote that one thing? We want this to be able to be upgraded. Oh my God. How many times do I say that on this channel? If a weapon or a bit of equipment cannot be upgraded and adapted to the future or different types of operations, it will not succeed in the military. If you can take that little box off the top of that thing and replace it with an upgraded version in 5 years, the US are going to be like, I like it. I really, really like it. If you can change it for anything, you can just take it off and leave it off, which you can. Brilliant. If you could put something on that's going to be better in a certain scenario, even better. If you could put something on that makes it more improved in the future, even better. Well done. Well done, Vortex. There's nothing anymore that I don't think is stopping this from becoming the future. honestly. I am a little bit anxious about it being that much space on the top. Like we've already pointed out, like traditionally, if you're shooting at close ranges, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass having that box on top, and you've got more room, you got more space. You got to look around and blah blah blah. But again, it can be changed and adapted. It can be upgraded. Who's to say? And I know this is probably like that won't happen in the future. 10, 20 years, all of a sudden they come out with a new one that gets put on top, right? It has all the laser range finding capabilities that it has right now, but all of a sudden you can look through the back of it and it turns to a classic red dot sight as well. Do you get what I'm saying? And I know that might be like, that's not going to happen. The technology is nowhere near that. But it gives the room to upgrade to stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Amazing.
Which we have 3 enabler interfaces built into the optic already.
Oh, really?
We do, yep. So in the very front of our interface is built into creases and with the needs of the warfighter. So as such, we have 3 enabler interfaces built into the optic already.
Oh, really?
We do, yep. So in the very front, we have the remote enabler interface. And so this remote here is completely removable from the unit. In detaching the remote, all your core capability is still maintained by the 5-button keypad. So nothing's lost if the remote is removed, damaged, and it can be replaced, by just simply pulling it out and, plugging a new remote back in.
Okay.
On the very front of the remote, for what's going to be fielded, for the initial fielding of the XM-157, is a 5-pin connector up front, which allows control of things like a flood, be it IR, white light, whatever you need, right? An open interface allows...
They outthought me.
An open interface allows for more versatility,
Amazing. Amazing. They're already thinking 10 steps ahead here. This is incredible.
For whatever the needs of the threat environment dictate.
Okay. And so this, in theory, then could be upgraded, right? So
Indeed.
as improvements in technology are made, this could be swapped out and we can have something new.
Indeed, yep. So this is actually only connected by four bolts on the bottom of the optic.
Okay.
And then we have an interface, a pogo pin interface on the front and in the rear. So the front has a covered and is completely unused in the initial fielding of the optic. And then the rear enabler interface is taken up by this range finding enabler at the back.
Are there any plans for anything to go up there at this moment, or is that all?
So we're actually really excited about some of our plans for the future for this optic. So in having an open interface like that, it gives us a lot of possibilities. You can get it can be as simple as anything from putting a offset red dot up there. But one of the things that we're particularly excited about is we're actually working on a thermal module that will be offset of the optic. And that will be able to pipe the image directly into the displays already incorporated into the fire control. And so
it could go thermal. Could you imagine? Okay, hear me out, right? They upgrade it. It's got a canted red dot on it that is using the computer for any type of ability that you need it to use, right? And I can't even think of them off the top of my head because the technology is so advanced, right? Maybe that red dot will change depending on windage or distance or whatever like that automatically with the computer. You look through the sight and all of a sudden it's got thermals on it. You can switch between thermals and non-thermals almost instantly with a click of the button. Oh my God. This thing's unreal. Everything he says, it's getting better and better.
Have one color display your thermal outlines for your threat identification and detection, and then you would have another reticle color be able to display your drop points.
Holy, what am I supposed to say to that? That's ridiculous.
Vortex has a nice box.
I guess my question is, first question.
Yep.
That's absolutely unreal. I feel like, why is this not like all over the news? I guess if you're not in that sphere, and the rest of my world that isn't outside these videos is not in the sphere of like obviously I'm not, actually, let me tell you this. Last night in bed, and I'm like trying to explain to Steph, my wife, I'm like, Steph, you need to let me tell you about this scope. This is legit a true story. Last night, and Steph's like, Luke, I don't give a shit about this scope. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It has a computer in it, and you can change the distance. And she's like, Luke, I just don't give a shit. But what I'm saying is, like, it's so incredible. It's so bizarre that I feel like it should be all over the news. But I guess that's just my interest in it, isn't it, really?
If I put a riser on this, can this optic figure that out? Like, are you able to input something into it to let it know what height it's at?
Absolutely. So this optic is not only for the next-gen weapons. As you can see, we've got an SDMR clone here on the table. You're
going to say that and the cloners are going to hop in and be like, actually.
Very fair, right? We use a program called GBSSA, so it's Government Ballistic Software Small Arms. This is an Army-owned ballistic solver, and it can account for any of your variables, just like most any other ballistic calculator out there, right? So while we have pre-programmed weapon profiles for what we expect the unit to be issued, you can also build out a custom weapon with all the parameters that your weapon would use to include sight height. So if you wanted to put a riser on it, all it would be doing would be going into building out a custom weapon profile and then, adding your appropriate sight height.
Now, is that based on height over bore, or is it just based off like an AR pattern weapon?
Height over bore.
Okay, interesting. That's, well, I guess that solves my question. Are we able to talk about any of the profiles that are currently installed on this reticle?
Yeah, I mean, it's anything that everyone's going to actually be fielding right now. So we have profiles for the new NGSW guns. We've got M4, M16, 240s and 249s are also something that
So it's all preset in the computer. Mental, innit?
we've tested at length with the optic.
Oh, cool.
We have some pretty cool capability with those as well.
Does it work at 50?
It does. Yep, and we've got profiles in there for the M2, believe it or not.
Well, don't mind if we do at some point.
Incredible.
So obviously we have optic height, and then of course the other question is going to be battery life. And I know
Does it have a preset for the SA8?
this is kind of harder because it's like asking what is the battery life on like an NGAL? It's like, well, how much are you using in the NGAL? It's like, well, I don't, because I don't have night vision, so therefore I never use it. But what is the actual battery life? So if we're talking about, ranging a couple times a day, using this as a soldier would use it out in the field, like think about a guy at an NTC, right, for 2 weeks. Like, is this going to last the entire time?
Battery life on this is going to be several weeks.
Okay.
So based all on, again, the ideal mission profile, that's with a lot of ranging, that's with some active lasers. It'll be several weeks on time, and it's powered by 2 CR123 batteries.
Oh, cool. Can you show the
This is
thing in the,
interesting.
Absolutely, yep. So battery compartment, a simple twist off, and then we have a nipple up and nipple down.
Oh.
If I can say that on
Yeah,
YouTube.
you can certainly say a lot more than that.
So as long as we have a positive terminal out and a positive terminal in.
So they can't screw it up, essentially.
Exactly. You can be doing it by feel rather than having to actually observe what the optic is.
Not bad.
Amazing, and it's that easy to change the patch. This thing just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it?
And that power, those batteries power everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So no need right now for external battery packs based on the power draw. However, again, with the added capabilities and the enabler interfaces, if they decide that they want to do something in the future, if they want to integrate powered rail, power packs, things like that, the system can upgrade with those increased capabilities.
So then batteries last weeks, he said. Take another 4, just throw 4 spare batteries in your backpack because they weigh nothing. All of a sudden, you've got like months of charge there. Jesus.
And I wanted to wait until we talked about a lot of the capability before we talked about kind of this last point, which is of course going to be weight.
Yep.
Which is a question that everybody asks. So now that people are kind of understanding what the capabilities are and kind of the different units that you're able to kind of incorporate and take off of your rifle off the front. So when we talk weight, this is always going to be a concern.
Absolutely.
They look at this guy and they're like, that is huge.
Yep.
So what can we say about weight right now?
So I can tell you I've taken a competitor's 1 to 8, right? Good glass quality.
Who could it be?
With a mount with a dive board, and then put a rangefinder enabler on the top. Didn't have the pack because the rangefinder had the pointer capabilities included on it. And this optic, the fire control, comes out less weight than the equivalent system, except this has the integrated display with the active reticle that just makes shooting that
and
easy.
also IR and vis laser.
Yep.
I get what he's saying there. Like it's better than competitors, but it doesn't. It's still heavy. Like it's still a heavy scope. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he's not going to turn around and be like, yeah, it's super light, but he is going to give you one positive, which is that it's lighter than the competitors. Yeah, it's not the best when it comes to weight, but it's lighter than competitors. And you've got to look at the pros and cons of these things. I think the advantages that this has over not having it with a little bit of extra weight, lads need to be just going to the gym. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get that weight is so important when it comes to rifle, like so important, more than people think, especially when you're in the field. You're carrying all that weight on your back and stuff as well. But I would more than happily have that scope on my weapon with a little bit of extra weight. I really would.
All that kind of stuff as well.
Yep, which both systems had that for the weight.
Interesting. And then I would imagine too, as time moves on and technology kind of matures, we'd probably be able to save some weight on this unit as well, and probably future iterations.
Absolutely. Yep. There's always things that can be stripped down, added. Again, the modularity of the system really promotes, whatever the needs of the soldier and the operator are.
Yeah, and to talk frankly, because I'm not part of Vortex, of course, guys, it's going to weigh more than your typical. It's like, oh, is this going to weigh what a Leupold Mark 6 weighs? No, a Leupold Mark 6 is a 1-to-6 optic, so of course not. This is going to weigh more. You're of course getting a lot more capability. You have to weigh the weight versus the benefits that you're getting. From what I have seen, I would put this on every single weapon that I currently own, just due to the massive increase in just capabilities I have. Phenomenal for what it is. So
Yeah.
I understand the weight concern. To me, especially as we're shifting weight back off the front of the gun with some of our IR devices,
Yep.
it makes sense to me.
Glad you think so.
I think I'd be very surprised if people don't agree with that statement and just say it makes sense. It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Vortex bucks. So SIG is going to be selling the spear,
Yep.
whatever they possibly can.
Yep.
The question is, are you guys going to be selling this guy?
Great question, Mike. So the caveat for the answer is that we need to address the Army demand first, right?
Yeah.
We are contractually obligated to do so, and that demand is going to be significant for the next couple of years, right?
Okay.
Our current contract is up to 250,000 units. It's going to take a while to get to a steady state and to meet all that initial demand.
Okay.
Once initial demand is met, right, it's going to be something that Vortex is going to be reevaluating.
Oh, awesome.
Realistically, right, there's nothing that's classified in the terms of the core capability of the fire control, and this technology, this active reticle with a display integrated in the first focal plane, is going to be the future of optics. So you're going to see it out there, but we're not going to promise, any sort of deadlines or dates or anything like that.
Understood.
Yeah, so it's inevitable. It is inevitable that this will be on the market eventually. But I almost guarantee that competitors will be trying to do something similar as well. They will. And this will become the future of scopes, but it's just going to take time. Is it just like anything in the military? When something new comes out in the military, a few years later, maybe 5-10 years max, it ends up coming out on Civvy Street, doesn't it?
I guess the real question was, is the Army, is there anything in the contract that currently states that you can't sell it in the future, I guess?
No, there's nothing in the contract that,
Thank
so
you.
we won't
good.
be able to sell it as the XM-157,
Sure.
but the core technology is something that Vortex, Vortex produces this and Vortex can sell.
Well, I can't wait to flex on the pores with this in a few years. Second question, is it powerful enough to play Doom?
If you ask our software guys, they probably already incorporated it into the
I'm not
the software.
joking. You're laughing, but I don't think this is funny. I actually want to know.
They probably have it. It's got.
I want to play Doom through my reticle.
You have to play Snake.
Ooh.
Like download Snake.
Because it has the buttons on the side, so I can.
Snake would probably be the easier one to incorporate, and our software guys really want to put little hidden Easter egg code in there. So maybe that's Snake, maybe not. We'll see.
I can't wait. A couple of notes from me as far as zeroing is concerned. Once you have this weapon zeroed,
Yeah.
if you guys are used to like zeroing a PEC 15 as far as zeroing the IR laser, it's much like that. They have a little card that they can make, or you can just zero it off a 25-yard target if you're in the Army and you never get to shoot beyond that. So there's kind of provisions there to make sure that you're able to zero everything and make it correct. It's fairly simple. I would say in many ways a little bit simpler, simply because the display is telling me precisely what I need to do. But with all those things being said, we have a huge range, we have a lot of ammo, a cool gun, and lots of targetry, so I feel like we should start unknown ranging reticles and shooting and trying to get first round impacts.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We also have the ability to save multiple targets inside your field of view at once.
What?
So all we need to do is press a button.
Okay.
And if you look through the optic, you'll see that there's a save symbol in the
Yeah.
upper right-hand corner.
See it.
So go ahead and range a target.
Okay.
What?
Once you have
Are you serious right now? You can pre-save distances. What the fuck?
a target range, it'll prompt you if you'd like to save that target or if you'd like to discard it. So if you'd like, if it's a good range, go ahead and press and hold. And now you have that target saved, and we can save up to 10 targets.
Oh,
no. Now you can save multiple targets in your field of view.
Am I allowed to say what I'm seeing right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it has them saved, but because this is also positional with direction and everything, it's actually saving them. So as I pivot across, it's like Battlefield, where it like has like the icon over it, and it's ranged.
And it like changes the dot in real time?
Yeah, it's
The
just,
hold and everything?
it's just, it's like Battlefield, but like really scary. It's
What
real.
the fuck?
Pretty neat. So we've saved the 3 targets out here, Micah, if you want to pan to those.
I wish he put the camera in so we could see it.
So we have the berm right there. It's about 400-ish. Then the next one over is about 500. And the next one over is about 600. So we'll see how good this is, or how good Grantham is.
Oh my god. This thing is a beast.
Cool. Well, 3 first-round impacts going from 3 to 600.
Were
Well,
those the saved?
yeah, those are the saved ones. So it had them all already ranged because it already shows me the BDC and the reticle.
So in real time, as you panned over.
Well, no, it's already saved there. So it's like
my
there's
gosh,
no.
yeah.
It just shows me the drops I need as I'm going through with the wind holds as well going out. So it just takes all the guesswork out of it. This is take some more shots.
That's unbelievable. I gotta get my hands on one of these, and when I go back to the US, I've got to, haven't I? Holy shit!
That's them at 1x right here. That was at 200, ranging this guy, 701.
Holy shit! He's shooting at 700 meters, or is it feet? Did he say? I think it's meters. Yeah, 700 meters. It is meters. Just think about that for a second. And he's getting like first round impacts that quickly, that easily. Preset saved on his scope. What the fuck? Like, I feel like we're in Halo right now.
I think it's really hard to kind of adequately describe how good this is. I think that what we're seeing here is kind of the first wave of probably technology that will end up taking over the optics world.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
say probably within 10, 15-ish years, you're probably going to see most optics using some type of active aiming reticle.
I agree.
In
100%.
military use. Civilian, I would imagine, is probably not too far behind. In fact, I would imagine within the PRS world, this will certainly take off as well.
I think max civilian world is 10 years behind maximum. More likely 5. I think more likely 5, but maximum 10.
It's just good technology. It's quick, it's robust, and I'm sure we'll see it mature quite a bit more. It's hard to predict things like this, but it just makes sense given how easy it is to make shots with this thing right now. It's it. Now, of course, if you're not training, if you don't have those marksmanship fundamentals, it's still a wash. But the optics certainly makes any platform it's on a much more lethal system in every single way I can think of. Cool tech, man. World's changing.
Yeah.
But as with everything, guys, if you're not getting training, it won't matter. So get out there and get training.
And again, you've still got to train on iron sights. Like, if you're in the military, make sure you make a point. We want to train on iron sights as well. It's always worth training with the Bobby basics. Keep it simple, stupid is the phrase. Keep it simple, stupid. If you can use an iron sight, you can extrapolate from there and use anything else. All right? So make sure you're always training with the Bobby basics.
There are many great places to get training from. Think of Haley Strategic, Bear Solutions, Cogworks, and of course us, Onward Research. We're going to be offering training courses soon. Get out there, train, get good. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This was a really cool look at some future technology that will be everywhere within the military very soon. So thank you for coming to the channel. And as always, we're just excited to be able to bring you something like this. So got nothing else for you. Final thing for you guys. Get on, get here, Alex. Alex, for my lost wayward children, we do a dad advice segment.
Yep.
So you get to give my poor people dad advice. He's ready.
Don't belittle people for things that they had no opportunity to learn. We're in a increasingly specialized society, and it's really easy to take for granted what we know versus what other people know. So if you're teaching somebody something, you know, don't belittle them for something that they never had the opportunity to learn. You know, a lot of people don't have access to guns or go out hunting or things like that. You know, belittling them and talking down to them for not knowing something that they never had the opportunity to learn just turns them off.
I love it. That's
Preach it, mate. What a great one. Don't belittle people for something they don't know. Brilliant.
yeah, that's mega basic. That's what I was when I was used to teach survival. That was the thing. It's like, hey, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Like, don't be mean to them because of it. Very cool. Thanks for coming on, man. Of
course.
Appreciate Vortex allowing us to kind of give everyone a first look at this.
Yeah, it was
Very
great.
Cool.
Great having you guys out.
Great video. Oh, yeah.
To kind of incorporate.
Great video. Absolutely brilliant video. I think the Civi world is max 10 years behind this. I think it'll be in people's hands quicker than we expect. I think people will start getting this in the next 3 to 5 years. I think like the really rich people that are in good positions will start getting this pretty quick. You know, like I've done videos on like drones and future military technology and all that other stuff. And one of my biggest caveats are a lot of this really high-end technology is just not worth it. It's worth just keeping to basics. And it's very rare, very, very rare that a bit of technology comes across to not just the military as a whole, but soldiers who are boots on the ground. Let's talk about that for a second, because that's completely different. Soldiers who are boots on the ground have to have equipment that is so reliable that you literally can rely on this thing and you know it like the back of the hand. And so to get a new bit of technology and integrate it into, you know, I mean, what technology's changed for boots on the ground in the last 20 years? Not that much, right? There'll be little bits of upgrades here and there, but not much technology has changed. It's usually just little bits of upgrade. So to go from something that's an ACOG to something like this, and for me personally to have this much confidence in it is amazing. This is like going from the M1 Grande to, you know, a semi-auto, like a legit rifle, like going to the M4, in my opinion. In fact, no, it's more than that. It's like going from a musket to an M4. Do you know what I mean? Like, the jump is so big. And with any jump that big, I would have so much worry and, like, hesitation. Like, I don't know about this, you know, especially being boots on the ground. But this is just... it's unreal, isn't it? It's absolutely unreal. I would be very surprised if there's any soldier that says they don't want this on their weapon, no matter how heavy it is. Do you know what I mean? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I am absolutely blown away by this bit of kit, and I'd love to know your thoughts as well. This video's a year old, and so I'm wondering if there's any new information on it. If there is, let me know in the comment section. Again, thanks to Grand Thumb for putting out this incredible content. Link down below in the description. First line of the video will be his link to his video. Go over there, give it a like, subscribe. Very important that you do that. You should be over there, subscribe to his channel anyway. He does some of the best content on YouTube, let's be honest. So yeah. Other than that, that's it. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.